Hey guys, welcome to your daily glass of lemonade. Today I feel very moved to talk about something that I'm rather anxious about: anxiety. I am overwhelmed by the horrific expressions of anxiety I've seen just this morning. I was working out this morning and looked down on the street and saw two men's dogs get into a fight, and next thing you know, a man's on the ground being pushed by the other, who walked off and gave this air of like, you deserved it. I don't know what happened, but that's never okay. And I went to the grocery store to get essentials today, and there's this air of fear and anxiety and people cutting in line and being rude, and it took a lot to get even a smile or a thank you response when I said thank you to people. I was like, something is wrong here. We have taken our anxiety up to levels that is very dangerous. I know this time is scary and I know this time is confusing, but we're making it worse by adding anxiety that doesn't need to be there. So I would like to talk to you about anxiety and why it's a pesky emotion. If you're expressing right now that you feel anxiety, that's awesome, better than just saying, yeah, I feel okay. But I got some bad news for you. Anxiety to me is kind of like a distractor emotion. It's kind of like, hey, over here I'm feeling anxious, instead of dealing with the real emotion that you're actually feeling over here. So I wanted to try and help us move over to the real feeling today. I see anxiety kind of like if you have a work task to do and you know it's this big project, and instead you clear your emails and then you clean your desk. Or if you're at school and you have this massive project, you start like going on TikTok or texting friends or just doing the small things like maybe cleaning your desk. That is good, sure, you get your emails done and you get your desk cleaned, and I don't know anything good about being on TikTok, but you do something, but you're not dealing with the real thing, the thing you know you need to do. And once you get into it, it may not feel good to start. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this, but eventually you feel great because you dealt with it. Anxiety is the same. It keeps us distracted from the real feelings we're feeling. And I am going to show you how that works in the brain. I know you might be like, nah, it's just a feeling, it just happens. But there's a thing that literally happens in the brain that explains how we need to move through this. So I looked up pictures of the brain and I got a nice picture, but as I came across this and I was like, I feel like this is actually how my brain feels most of the days. And we're going towards this. This is another one I really liked. One day my brain's gonna look like that. But here's where we all start. So when you're in that anxious, scared moment, and when you're at the store feeling like I need to get in front of people, or when you're walking your dog and you get defensive, I don't know how that happened, but you're in this part of your brain, your animal brain. It's the part of your brain that was formed when you were 2.5. So it's basically survival and pooping and peeing and like learning how to be alive. We go back into that, where it is purely based on survival and fear. And none of the oxygen and neuroelectricity that you need to be thinking straight up in here is happening. Because there's like this little traffic guard in the middle being like, no, 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 stay down, fear, fear, fear. This is your limbic system, your amygdala, and all that fun stuff. We need to move to our prefrontal cortex if we're going to get free of the anxiety and deal with the real feelings. When you allow oxygen and neuroelectricity up to here, this is when we start putting thoughts and feelings to the anxiety. And there's parts of the brain that literally are dead and dull when we're down here. One of the most important ones is the ventrolateral prefrontal cortex, the VLPC, as I like to call it. Now, this part of your brain is all about identifying emotions. It's all about regulating and looking and questioning and going, what is it that I'm feeling? You can't get there if you're down here. The same way, you cannot get up to this part of your brain, which is your Broca's area. It's a very important area because it gives you words. When people have a stroke, this part goes dull when they can't speak. It's the same when you see a kid and you're like, use your words. They can't if they're down here. They're totally incapable of using words. So if we want to be able to get out of this anxiety, and use our words to express our emotions, if we want to be able to regulate our emotions, we have to get oxygen to the front. And so now you're probably saying, well, okay, nice picture, lady. I like the brain, whatever, but you didn't actually tell me how to get that breath and electricity up there. Well, it's in that word. And I made another word, a big word that's a small word, but it's big for us. Because if you follow this, you can get your words and your emotions going and get out of the anxiety. So big is all you have to remember. When you're freaking out, go, what did that lady say? She said something about bigness. That's right, big. All you have to do to start is breathe. And you're like, huh, lady, doing it. Do it all the time. Sorted, what next? I mean, really focus on your breathing. Like, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Sometimes that'll be all you need, just one focused breath. Or you could do 3, just count to 3 times. Or you can do a breathing meditation for a minute or 2. There's so many online on the free apps, just to take a second to get your breath going, because when the oxygen starts working for you and you don't do the short, shallow, anxious breaths, you get the right chemicals and the neuroelectricity up to the front part. And then when you're there, you can start to do the I, which is identify. Identify what you're feeling, why you're feeling it maybe, and you could even, something that really helps me is I've printed off these maps and these mood meters that have all different emotions. So when I'm feeling something, rather than just staying okay, good, bad, anxious, I can identify some of the words. And that also will help you if you're in community with someone else, and instead of just being like, I'm really anxious and they can't help, you could say, I'm feeling frustrated because of this, or I'm feeling scared. You can identify the cause of it when it's not just anxiety. And then this magical thing that you can do is the G, gratitude. It's almost like this perfect trick that if you've got through these 2 and you want to be like, yeah, but I want to shift out of it. If you're at the grocery store and you're feeling anxious because you're scared of going inside because of coronavirus, you could have a moment of gratitude and go, yeah, okay, I'm scared, but I'm also grateful that I have the means with which to purchase food right now. Or I'm also grateful that I'm getting out of the house for a second, so that's good. Or I'm grateful that there's someone in there who's willing to risk their health to serve me, and that connects you to them. Gratitude does this magical thing of connecting us, not just with ourselves and our real feelings, but also with the world. I'm grateful for this or that, or aware that I'm doing better than that. You know, just gratitude can help you completely switch out of your anxious moment. And you might be saying, well, okay, now you told me how to do it, but when I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out. It's not like I'm gonna be like, now, what did she say? B-I-G. The first thing you have to do, all you have to do is pause. Pause. If you just are driving into the grocery store and you say, that's right, I have to pause before I go in. It gives you a second to think about, how do I want to feel in there? Or if you're about to get on a Zoom call with someone that annoys you at work, but you don't want to be that way, pause and be like, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to identify that feeling, and I'm just going to be grateful that I have a job, or that I have someone to connect with, or that we're going to work on this project. Whatever can make you grateful for that person or that feeling or that moment, all it has to do is start with a pause. So let's get rid of our anxiety. Let's get rid of the emails, and let's get rid of the TikTok. Let's get rid of all that stuff and deal with the real work. Why are you feeling anxious? Just breathe, identify, and be grateful. And you could get rid of that feeling. And that way we'll stop being mean to each other at the grocery store or pushing people in the street, which would be nice. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, or if you're experiencing severe anxiety, please seek help. Reach out to me, reach out to a medical professional. Anxiety disorder is a real thing. I'm not trying to minimize it with this, but for everyday little anxieties, hopefully this will help you. Okay, keep breathing, keep identifying, and keep being grateful. And I am grateful for you. See you soon.